Is it starting to feel like one of those seasons, Rube?
What up, Dave? What up? Dave doesn't get my. Somebody reviewed our podcast and said we say "what up" too much, and they got confused. They were posting about the wrong podcast because I don't think either of us has ever said "what up" in our lives.
I say it all the time.
You say "what up"?
Nah,
not on the podcast.
I say "what's up."
What's up's different than "what up."
Yeah,
what up is broy. What's up is But so I just thought we could say "what up" the whole pod, but that didn't go well. So how are you, Dave?
We're off to a running start here. This is Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro.
What up, everybody?
I'm doing well. Yeah, it's a fun time in the city right now. People are really excited about this team, and they should be.
Yeah, it's only 3 games, and you try to put the brakes on some of it. But when you look around the league and you look at especially the NFC landscape, there's no reason not to be super stoked about where this team is.
Yeah. It feels like sometimes, you watch different games around the league, and sometimes you get jealous of the style of play or the level of the games. Like you watch every once in a while you watch a Sunday night football game and you're like, man, that's just different. I feel like it's the opposite right now. Like the Eagles are the ones who are playing at such a fun and exciting level and such a.
You didn't get that vibe watching Giants Cowboys?
Man, then you watch that game on Monday night and you go, this is a stinker. Like, is even the same sport?
Yeah. Just watching that game, you start thinking whether Dak comes back or not, whenever he comes back, the Eagles are by far the class of the division. I think that's pretty clear. It's really just a matter of how far they can get, to me, beyond just winning the division. And it has that feel definitely because it's such a complete team.
Yeah.
And there's really no discernible weaknesses on either side of the ball. And they're playing well. I mean, other than second half defense in Detroit, they're just playing so well. So it's exciting.
It is exciting. They're now the betting favorites that come out of the NFC. Everything we say comes with the caveat it's early, but it feels like there's something special about this team, and we'll find out. We have a lot to get to today. Another guy who knows something about special teams in this city coming back to Philly, Doug Pederson with the Jaguars. We'll get into them a little bit later. We want to talk special teams. Of course, we're going to talk Jalen Hurts, as we always do on this pod, but we're going to flip it up a little bit, and we're going to start with defense, specifically the linebackers. And it's kind of a joy to even say this, but the Eagles linebackers are playing at a really high level right now.
Yeah, they really are. And it's something we're not used to around here. And
it's been a while.
We get excited because Alex Singleton had 17 tackles or something. But I think for me, the first real sign that Howie was seriously going to rebuild coming off a winning season and a playoff season, which teams don't always do. I think that's kind of that was important. Letting Alex Singleton walk. And look, Alex Singleton wasn't ever a star, but he's played okay. He was, he was okay. But it was like, all right, we got to do better than Alex Singleton. I think that, to me, that was almost the mantra of the offseason was we're okay, but we've got to do better. And Alex Singleton was like the poster child because he's,
Alex Singleton's ears are ringing right now. Poor guy's out in Denver, like just catching strays.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Alex gets the most out of his ability, and you could win games with Alex Singleton. But the message was we could be better. And when you look at T.J. Edwards getting a chance, a full season, a full off season, knowing he's pretty much the starter, pretty much knew that. And Kaiser White coming in. A guy that I admittedly didn't know a ton about when they signed him, but has just been consistent around the ball, real playmaker. I just don't know the last time the Eagles had 2 off-ball linebackers as active, physical, productive, consistent. They're playing every snap. They're fun to watch. When's the last time we said Eagles linebackers were fun to watch? And TJ he's just progressed gradually each year and had some stretches last year where he played really well. But as far as 2 guys playing at that level, it's been a long time.
Yeah, and they really seem to play off each other well. It's fun to watch. Kaiser was a guy I'd seen a little bit of, and then when they signed him, I went back and watched him, and he was so good. It's like, what am I missing here? Why were they able to get this guy for what, $3 million?
Yeah.
And those questions kind of persisted until training camp for me, because it's like the rest of the league must know something that I don't know about this guy, because why would he be available on a 1-year deal? It's really looking like the steal of the offseason.
Yeah, it really is.
At least in free agency.
Yeah.
They have some other ones.
And you got to give, Eagles pro scouting department and Howie a lot of credit for, they got Bradbury in kind of a similar way. Look, there's going to be a lot of tough decisions this coming off season, but we can worry about that later. They got a lot of people. In fact, TJ and Kaiser are both unsigned after this year. So they got a lot of decisions to make, and obviously the big one, we know what that is, but I think that's already
tough to replenish with the 32nd pick.
You think the Saints are going to win the Super Bowl?
Well, that one might be pretty high.
Yeah. But I've just been impressed with both of them. TJ just continues. I mean, this is an undrafted guy who he likes to tell the story about. He was 12th on the depth chart when he came in. I looked up some of the names that he was behind. I mean, he's just worked and, become just a really good linebacker, just really good. He's gotten so much better in coverage. But I mean, the way he's rushing the passer, which he doesn't do a ton, but when he does it,
dial up some blitzes, and there are even moments where he's not blitzing. He's like on the line.
Yeah.
They lined him up over the A gap in one game or in one play, I think. I'm trying to remember it. But they're finding ways to, he's explosive in his own way.
Yeah. Yeah. He's deceptive, because I don't think there's one like measurable that's off the charts with him. It's probably why he was undrafted. But he can just play. He can just play, and he's just gotten incrementally better every year. And I mean, I guess when they had, the Super Bowl year, they had good linebacker play. Bradham was really good. Kendricks was good. Who am I forgetting?
Well, Hicks before
he got hurt. Yeah. And who's the other guy? Who's your guy?
Donnell Ellerbe. He played well in his one snap in the Super Bowl. But yeah, this is, these are young guys. Joe Walker before that.
Joe Walker. They're both 26. He's still in the league. Is he with Arizona, I think?
He's somewhere.
He's still in the league. But they're both 26. And, I give Nick Rallis a lot of credit. I mean, he's a young guy. We didn't know. I mean, he was 26 when they hired him.
Yeah, Eagles linebackers coach.
Really impressive guy the few times we've had a chance to talk to him. And really has the respect of guys in that room who are his age, or in some cases older. These guys are playing at a high level, and that's a reflection of the coach. And
the thing I've heard about Rallis from his players is that he doesn't pretend to know everything.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way, because he's not phony, but he does have knowledge. And once players figure out that they can learn something from their position coach, that's all it takes. But I think his understanding that he's not 30 years into this means a lot to his players. Like, sometimes he doesn't have that wealth of knowledge to grab from, but he still has enough, and he understands his defense too. I think that's a big key. Him and Gannon come from the same defense, and so I think he had kind of a leg up on the whole scheme and what they wanted to do.
Right. And Nick talked about that. I think we talked to him his first, last summer, the first time we talked to him, he said, I don't know everything, and I'm going to lean on the players just as much as they're going to lean on me, and it's a collaborative thing. And it's got to be hard to earn the respect of guys who've been in the league when you're that young and that inexperienced. But he's,
in a way, it's kind of helpful. He hasn't had a lot of
older.
Yeah,
maybe. I mean, the Eric Wilsons, those, just get rid of them. But yeah, he's been impressive. And I got a tweet like, how come Nakobe Dean's not playing? I mean, he was such a ballyhoo draft pick. Well, why would you play him? I mean,
yeah, it's tricky because those guys are playing so well. I think as the season goes on, they will find certain situations to get Nakobe on the field, but unless someone gets hurt, he's not going to play a ton.
Yeah, and that it doesn't reflect negatively on him. I think it reflects positively on TJ and Kaiser. I mean, TJ's got the green dot. so you're not going to take him off the field. I mean, you can have someone else with the green dot, but you just want him out there all the time.
The only time they took him off, this was interesting. In this last game, they went dime. They took TJ off the field. Kaiser stayed in like purely passing downs, and Kayvon Wallace was out there for 3 snaps in place of TJ.
Yeah, that was interesting.
They don't run a ton of dime, but they have some looks.
Kaiser, I mean, TJ's at 96%. Kaiser's at 75, which is, Nakobe played 3 snaps on defense in the first game and hasn't gotten on the field the last 2. Played a lot on special teams, like 21 snaps, I think, Sunday.
He's a pretty good special teamer.
Yeah, and I give him credit for something he hasn't done before. And
no, I mean, he did it a lot at Georgia.
Did he do it a lot? Yeah, I guess we've talked about that. He did. My mistake. But I like what Gannon said. Gannon had a good line today. I'm going to paraphrase, but something like, be a star at whatever your role is. And
that's right out of the Sirianni playbook.
Yeah.
Of like, know your role.
Yeah.
Execute your role.
And it's such an important message to some guys who, especially a guy w's been was a star at Georgia.
Yeah.
Or even Jordan Davis, the same thing. He's playing 20 snaps a game. What did he play? 24. Yeah. So he's 22, 21, 24. So he's playing, a third of the snaps. Be a star at whatever you're asked to do, whether it's a role player, special teamer, a starter. It's such an important message, and it's one that a lot of guys don't ever learn. I just noticed that this is amazing. No defensive lineman has played more than 63% of the snaps.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
That's kind of how you draw it up.
Yeah. And then you look at Washington, those 3 guys, Allen, Sweat, and Payne are all playing like mid-80s.
Yeah, they don't have any depth there.
They have no depth.
It's a problem.
Catches up with you. So,
yeah.
I mean, Eagles didn't score in the second half, so it's probably a bad example. But in general, that's too many snaps, and they're all good players. I'm drawing Payne's he is something else.
One quick note, and this is off topic, so I'm already off script.
I'm certainly the wrong guy to criticize anyone for going off topic.
For that. Brandon Graham played only 27 snaps.
Yeah.
In that game, had 2.5 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. This is his new role. I wrote about this in my snap count story. He was playing so much in 2020. He was a starter. He was getting so much run. He's a part-time player at this point in his career. He's 34, longest tenured athlete in the city. He's not playing as much as Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick, the 2 starters on the edge. But it kind of looks like he's going to be able to make the most of these snaps. He's going to stay fresh. And you give him credit because there'd be a lot of guys who wouldn't be comfortable with their role shrinking as much as his has. But he seems okay with it. Legitimately okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, he's the ultimate team guy. I think he understands at this point in his career, this is what's best for him. And I asked Nick about this yesterday, and he talked for 4 minutes about it. But Fletcher's the same way. I mean, he's not down as dramatically, but he's in the 50s. He's been in the 60s the last few years. I think 70s a few years ago. Used to be in the high 80s. I think he had 1 year in the 90s, I believe.
I don't think it was
like
ever
in
that
16. So I think for both of those guys, it's understanding that, less is more. And you saw it on Sunday. I mean, they both made a big impact on that game. And, they have the luxury of having depth both inside and outside up front, where they can do that. And you have a guy like, Teron Jackson played 9 snaps.
Patrick Johnson played a ton.
28 snaps. I thought he had some good snaps.
He did. He's getting some pressure.
Yeah.
And we saw that with him in training camp. Because last year they played him all over. Like they loved his versatility, but I think it hurt him a little bit. He'll tell you that it helped him because he has a better understanding of the defense. I think it held him back a little bit because now that he's getting to purely focus on being a rusher, we talked so much about Teron Jackson was going to get all these snaps. No, Patrick Johnson's been the guy to benefit from not having Derek Barnett on the field.
Yeah, it seems that way. I liked what I saw from him on Sunday. So you got Josh Sweat's playing the most as far as all the D linemen or all the, rushers and interior linemen at 63%. Hargrave's playing the most out of the interior guys at 57%. Then you have Milton Williams at 45, Fletch at 56.
It's rare to have they have 5 interior players who they're getting significant snaps for.
It's amazing. Yeah. Tui Pelotu's at 39 and Jordan Davis at 32. And that's again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but how he has done a terrific, and this goes back to Big Red, who got here and said, we got to build around both lines. And they've been doing it for 20 years and winning a lot of games that way.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the big guy, Jordan Davis. Week 3 was his best game so far. I know there's small sample size, but he was really impressive.
He was. And I thought he made a quantum leap. I really did. I liked the way he played. He just seemed more active. He was more comfortable, and that's natural.
Yeah.
It's a whole new game up here. Played a couple more snaps, 24. I think you're going to see that number just gradually go up a little bit.
I think so.
I think he'll be in the 30s soon.
I've been encouraged by the way they're using him. The way they used him in the first game made no sense.
Yeah.
Since then, we've seen them utilize that bear front with him on the nose, Hargrave and Cox next to him, which is just scary, especially when you have Reddick and Sweat as the overhang guys. And then he's getting some snaps in the 4-man rush too. And he's showing that was the fun part about this game. We all know we can stuff the run. He showed some pass rush ability in this game. And not only when he was rushing the passer, but he did get doubled. It freed up some other guys. And when he got a chance in a one-on-one, he was winning. Yeah,
that's what I thought. I thought he was really good, and he's just going to keep getting better. I know he was one of the best players in the country last year, but I don't think people understand just how different this league is from playing even in the SEC, which is almost like the NFL. He's going to get more and more comfortable. Gannon and Tracy Rocker are going to get more and more comfortable figuring out what he does well and how to use him, which I think in the opener, I'm not really sure what they were thinking, but
I think they're just, I look back at that and I agree with my criticism still, but I think they're just trying to figure out how to utilize all these pieces still.
That's true. One guy we haven't mentioned is Tui Pelotu. He played 34 snaps.
Mm-hmm.
He did some good things too. Look, they all did.
Yeah.
That's a career high for him. Played 29 in the opener.
Davis almost got his first sack.
Yeah.
He probably should have had Wentz. It was on the one play where they brought TJ Edwards up the middle, and TJ ended up getting the sack, I think. But,
yes.
It ended up, I think the center went to TJ, and it left Davis with a one-on-one. He got right past his guy. It's fun. It's fun to watch a big guy move like that.
And it's fun to watch a D-line that's got, 7 guys who are making plays or capable of making plays. Now, look, it was one game against a really battered O-line.
And a quarterback who holds the ball for 12 seconds.
Quarterback who won't get rid of it. And I think Daniel Jones has been taking lessons from the guy in Indy.
Looks like it.
But he can escape better. But, and it was a game where the Eagles got up early, so Washington pretty much, had to throw pretty much every down. So a lot of things were really in the Eagles' favor, but it was certainly encouraging. And if they can get those kind of contributions from everyone, it's going to be a dangerous D-line.
Yeah. I thought we'd do something fun here. And because
it sounds like all right, we're going to change up and actually do something fun.
No, well, it's a fun little game. We each wanted to pick an unsung hero of the defense through 3 games. Who do you have in mind?
I'm thinking James Bradbury. And we don't really talk about him because we talk so much about Slay,
and rightfully so.
And he's been just, as advertised, he's been incredible. But Bradbury is really solid. And, we talked last week about how they might cover McLaurin and Dotson, and Bradbury ended up on Dotson an awful lot. And it's a different kind of matchup because usually you see Bradbury on the bigger guy and Slay on the faster guy, but they switched up, and McLaurin's better than Dotson at this point in their careers. And the thinking is that Bradbury can handle a guy in his 3rd career game, and he did. I think he's been really solid. And he missed some tackles the first week, missed one, bad one the second week. Tackling in general was better Sunday, but he's just solid, and he just gives them so much flexibility with what they can do. You don't just have to say, if they had Steven Nelson, then, then Slay is like you just don't have the matchups that ideally you want. This way you can do what's best for everyone, and not to rip on Steven Nelson, but when you have two, I don't want to say two elite guys. I'm not sure Bradbury's quite elite, but he's very good. He's very solid. I think his coverage has been really good, and it just makes it tough when you are not allowing one guy to be open all the time, and we've certainly seen a lot of that. So Slay gets the headlines, and he deserves them. But I think Bradbury's been kind of sneaky good so far.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll give you one along the same lines. Avonte Maddox.
Yeah.
He is just so solid in there. He's 5'9", 180 pounds, but
unbelievable.
Man, he's so tough. He made that big tackle near the goal line on Sunday. I mean, that's a huge play, tackling a guy who's much bigger than him.
Like 80 pounds bigger.
Saving a touchdown. He had that big interception in week 2, a leaping grab. So everything comes back to his size, right? 5'9", didn't matter there. He got up and caught that football. He gives them such a steady level of play in the middle of that field. And you mentioned Bradbury, and it's the same reason I'm mentioning Maddox, because if you have Slay as the clear top corner, this last game is a good example of, all right, if Slay takes away McLaurin, Washington's thinking, well, let's try to get the ball to Curtis Samuel. Let's try to get the ball to Jahan Dotson. The problem with that is you have 2 other really good corners covering those guys. Avonte, he probably doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And it's weird that he's not, I mean, at that size, it's not that surprising. He's not, he can't translate to outside corner. It's been a few years since we saw him try, but he's just such a perfect fit in the slot. And
it's my biggest gripe about the current state of the NFL is the disrespect for nickel corners.
Yeah, it's really a separate position. It's a different position. He's very good at it.
They deserve to get paid more.
Yeah, well, that's true too. But
they're full-time players almost.
It's amazing that he can be so physical at that size.
He played 95% of the snaps against Washington.
Nickels
are not part-time players.
Did he play 95% of the snaps?
Yeah, 73 snaps.
He's played 87% this year. McPherson came in and played when Slay got a little banged up.
Yeah, Slay had some back soreness, like back
and then
spasms.
I think he was in on that last drive too. I think they played some of the backups, but I've always been an Avonte Maddox fan, and I just love the way he plays. He's really got some swagger,
Tough, man.
Yeah, really tough.
Because
you don't really think. I mean, a slot. I mean, a slot pretty much has to be a tough guy because slot receivers are slower, bigger, stronger, tougher type guys. Generally, not always, but traditionally. Although the look of a slot receiver, I guess, is changing.
And now there are so many teams that are like the Eagles, and they move guys around, and you have guys playing inside and outside. It takes a special kind of player to be able to match up with everyone inside, because guys are going to handle those inside responsibilities as receivers so much differently. Like, look at the Eagles, right? Like, if you have Quez in there versus AJ in there versus Devontae in there, we're all going to play that much differently. Yeah. It's a tough role for the nickel to have to match up with all that. Yeah,
no doubt. I would say next time you're at an Eagles game, just take a series or two and just keep your eye on Avonte Maddox, because you tend to watch the outside receivers, the running backs, the quarterback, but keep your eye on Avonte Maddox. He's just so solid, so steady, and just a really good player. 4th round pick.
Yeah.
Well, now in his 5th year.
I mean, that 2018 draft class. Whew.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Pretty good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else on the defense before we move on?
No. You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we've got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store at nissanusa.com today.
Jalen Hurts is a legitimate MVP candidate.
Week after week, it's 3 games, and I think there's a lot of people out there like, all right, well, it's only 3. This is who he is. He's a good quarterback. He's a very good quarterback. It's who he is. This is not a fluke. This is not just a, flash in the pan. I mean, the Eagles have themselves a quarterback. He's 24, just turned 24. I mean, we're seeing. I mean, I was there when Randall transformed from like a, erratic athlete playing quarterback into, just a. It really took a lot longer than it's taken Jalen. I mean, I remember Donovan his rookie year, kind of really struggling. I mean, anybody who's playing behind Doug Pederson, they're not quite ready. Quarterbacks go through this, and the jump he has made in so many areas from last year to this year. I mean, he made a jump from his rookie year to last year, but I mean, it's been incredible to watch. I mean, he is. I don't know how you stop this guy when he can make plays doing anything. And I made this point to. I asked Shane Steichen about this, and I didn't get a great answer, but I was really, really impressed by the fact. I mean, this is the first game Jalen Hurts has ever won when the Eagles couldn't run the ball. And I think that's really significant because it's always been like, all right, running the ball great, and Jalen's making some throws off the run. But they've got to defend the run. They're doing this, they're doing that. And Washington sold out against the run, and they're kind of like dared Jalen to make plays with his arm, and he did. It was the first game the Eagles have won rushing for under 75 yards since the Chicago playoff game in 18, the Golden Tate game. I like to call it the double doink.
Yeah, it's not a double doink. It's a Golden Tate game.
Yeah, it's a Golden Tate game. That was a hell of what a play that was. Good Lord, fourth down, making it up on the spot. But anyway, no, I just it's a pleasure to watch him, and it's, I hope he gets some satisfaction out of shutting up a lot of people who drew a lot of conclusions about a 22, 23-year-old kid in the early stages of his career, with a rookie coach or a coach on his last legs. He handles everything so maturely. His preparation is unrivaled. His leadership is magnificent. His physical preparation, his mental preparation. And now he has weapons, and now he's in the second year with a coach. All the things we said at the end of last year are coming true, coming to fruition. And it's magical, man. It's just like, I mean, he's put together 3 different kind of games, but 3 games where he's been exceptional in a different way. And, first game was with his legs and being accurate. Second game, he was crazy accurate and running. And Sunday, he didn't run at all. I think his longest gain was 5 yards, but just kind of big plays. Another area he's improved so much, throwing the ball down the field. The arm strength was never a problem. We've said that forever. That was
pure arm strength.
That was never the issue. It was, footwork and mechanics. I mean, that's what those big plays are. And seeing the field, seeing the whole field. You can list like 20 things he's improved at. And when you work as hard as he does and you have the physical ability, it's going to happen. It's inevitable. It's just a matter of how much. And we're seeing it now.
It was inevitable that he was going to get better.
Right.
I think, and I think the team knew that. We all said that, right? Because, and going back to 2016 when he got to Alabama, like that was the case. Every year was better. But this year, the jump, and this early in the season, we're 3 games in, which on one hand you go, all right, maybe pump the brakes. On the other hand, think about how quickly this has all come together for him this year.
I just looked this up. He's thrown for 300 yards a game. He's averaging like 300 whatever yards, 305, completing 67% of his passes, has 1 interception.
And the 1 interception bounced off his player's hand.
Right. He's one of only 16 players in history to do those 3 things through 3 games of a season: 300 yards a game, 67%, and 1 or fewer interceptions. And the other guys who've done it are like Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers, Breeze, Peyton, and Donovan did it in 04. So I just think people need to just understand how special what we're seeing is. And now it's like, I think, a month ago, it was like, is he the guy? Now there's no question that he's the guy. The question now is, how much is it going to cost?
Yeah. And it's a weird situation for the Eagles to be in because they can't do it now.
Right.
They have to wait until the new league year.
March 14th, I guess it is.
15th.
15th.
Yeah.
Of course, you would know that.
I just looked it up today.
4 p.m.
Yeah,
Eastern.
4 p.m. Eastern on March 15th is the first time they can.
A lot of times, if a player's price keeps going up and up and up, you want to lock it down before it gets. They can't do it,
and that's such an Eagles move. It goes back to Joe Banner days. Like they try to beat these extensions and get the player for a discount, and it doesn't always work out. Sometimes you get burned, but it's really helped them over the last 3 decades. Can't do it with this guy. You got to wait. And can they have hush hush, wink wink conversations? Maybe, but it doesn't do any good because you can't. That price could continue to rise.
Yeah, and it really is going to make for a trade. I mean, we're getting way ahead of ourselves here, but the Eagles have so many players that are unsigned after this year, and that number is going to affect. I mean, we just talked about Kaiser White and TJ Edwards.
They're one guy. That would help them save some money.
Help some cap money. Yeah, see if Howie can make them one person. But we mentioned Fletch and BG. I mean, there's so many guys who are not signed after this year that they're going to have to figure out. I mean, when you're paying a quarterback $40 million a year.
Yeah, and it's kind of the beauty of getting your quarterback on this rookie deal.
Especially a second-round rookie deal.
Yeah, it's really cheap. Even a first-round. I mean, even, when they won it in 2017, Carson was still on his rookie deal, right. So that it saved a lot of money.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is their window is clearly open right now. The way any contract is structured is going to be backloaded. So you're still going to have that window where he's not making $40 million a year.
Yeah, but that bonus is going to be.
Yeah, it'll be a lot, but it won't be like the full.
Right, that'll be spread out over the 17 years of the deal. Knowing Howie, this is going to be a career. I'm sure he's already I guarantee you Howie already has a whole file folder of notes on the Jalen contract.
I would hope so.
How to structure it. Yeah. Incentives. I'm sure he's working on it.
Yeah, as he should. I wanted to get your take on this. Any fear, or put a percentage on it, fear that these first 3 games are a mirage in any way?
I mean, there's always.
Is it in the back of your mind that maybe
I think
clock will strike midnight, he turns back into a pumpkin?
I think Sunday kind of dropped that to 0%.
Okay.
Because, if you look at the way last year ended, other than that Giants game and then the Tampa playoff game, I mean, he was really good most of the time at the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think what did they finished? Other than he didn't play in that Dallas game, he was 7-2 to close out last year, or 6-2. Gardner started against the Jets, but he had some really good games at the end of last year. Now you get him AJ Brown, you get Isaac back on the O line. And that's the thing about Jalen. I mean, he's got everything in place around him. He's got great weapons. I think he's got a hell of a play caller. And now he's got a defense that's.
Flip side of that is any of that, and I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't think this is any of that propping him up.
I think it's helping him, but it's helping him get the max out of his ability. But if you put Jalen on Washington right now, would he be doing the things he's doing? No, but he'd be better than the guy they have.
Okay.
Yeah, but as far as a fluke or a mirage, I think I'm at 0% now, just because he's really been a consistently good player for about 12 starts now. So
his knowledge and just his feel for the game is so much. I'm trying to pinpoint where I've seen the most improvement.
Yeah,
I think pure arm talent has improved with mechanics, but I think it all kind of plays in, and his knowledge and understanding of this offense, what a play is designed to do, that's been fun to watch. His processor's quicker.
Yeah.
The ball's getting out quicker. I think some of that's mechanic. I think a lot of it is just his understanding. And it always goes back to me throwing with anticipation for a quarterback like him. And I've been so impressed.
And his trust in his receivers is off the charts. I mean, and
the little things, even the slant to AJ Brown, where he adjusted the route, by the way.
Yeah.
And some people think that that's a bad pass. He threw it on his back shoulder for a reason. That was perfect.
Right.
I mean, those plays, the fraction of an inch, of a foot, can mean so much he's hitting all of them. And he's doing it confidently.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think the most impressive thing about him is just how mentally plugged in he is, just how even keel he is. I mean, I was so impressed after the game Sunday. Eagles won 24-8, but they didn't score in the second half for the second straight week.
It's really giving him that opportunity to be like, it wasn't good.
And he brought it up on his own.
Yeah.
He was like, I haven't been asked this, but I'm sure I will be. So let me just address it. Like, we got to do better in the second half, and we got to execute. And he just started talking about it.
It's like the perfect opportunity for Hurts.
Yeah.
Like, in a way, he's probably happy that it wasn't perfect, so he can get up there and say, well, it wasn't to our standard.
Yeah. And that's his message after the team. All right.
I think he's going to be really uncomfortable when they finally play a complete game.
He's not going to know what to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He won't say it. He'll never say it.
No.
Which is what you want, honestly.
He's something else, man. His parents did a great job with him. He's 24.
Yeah. I go back to
what were you doing when you were 24?
I was covering high school sports and the Eagles, and maybe I was moving to Texas. I don't know.
I was just covering high school sports.
Yeah.
I wasn't very good at it.
I always think about, and it's something, Jason Kelsey is so smart, and we get so much out of when we talk to him. I go back to before the season when he was talking about expectations, and he had that profane rant about it all. The one thing he said that kind of pertaining to that, but also is something I think is good to think about now that the team's playing well, is about grading film and judging film for what it is and not based on the result.
Mm.
Because it's so easy after a win to say, you're not going to grade it as harshly, right? Because you've won the game. What does it matter? It didn't matter in the end. You still did enough to win. But that's a dangerous, slippery slope for players and coaches to end up on, because you have to grade the film for what the film is and correct the mistakes, whether you win 50-0 or you lose 50-0. Like the mistake is still a mistake. It needs to be corrected. And I see that in Jalen, that it doesn't matter what happened. It matters that he didn't execute on this play and he wants to fix it, or this guy didn't execute on this play and you have to fix it. I think that's a really mature thing. And it's something that I don't think a lot of young guys understand. Yeah,
and I think when your 24-year-old quarterback is emphasizing that day after day, week after week, it really gets through to the team. And it's really the exact same dynamic as Howie looking at a 9-8 team, playoff team, and saying, yeah, we were good. I think a lot of GMs would be like, all right, these guys are all going to get better. Let's just kind of run it back with this roster. He tore it up, and 9-8, and we got to get a lot better in a lot of areas. And I think that whole mentality kind of permeates the organization right now. Yeah. Like, when they do something good, it's not good enough. When they do something bad, it's definitely not good enough. And I think it all comes from Nick, and he's so clear with that message. We kind of roll our eyes when he goes into his 1% better and one day at a time, one play at a time.
I haven't made my bingo card yet. Should I make a bingo card for fans to follow along?
You should do that.
Dog mentality is just the free space in the middle.
Yeah, connection. Yeah, all that stuff. But it resonates with them. And, I think you really make it – you take so much complexity out of it when you say, you know what? All you have to do is worry about the next rep. It's like you just clear your mind, worry about the next rep. Once you do that, and worry about the rep after it or the meeting after it or whatever it is. If you just break it down to that, it just – it makes it really simple.
Sounds easy.
It does. And I think it might not be easy, but I think I think that message really gets through to these guys. Yeah.
All right. Good Jalen chatter. Yeah. I wanted to hit on special teams, something we don't do a ton. They weren't very good.
And they haven't been.
Yeah. It's, if you're looking for a weak spot on this team, might be that unit.
Yeah. They're still last in the NFL in field position. Their average drive is starting close to the 20.
Yeah, and there's some reasons for that. I think they haven't been explosive in punt return.
Right.
I think their kick return was a big problem with those pop kicks, those motor kicks, because teams are kind of seeing that weakness and exploiting it. So there's multiple reasons, but it needs to get fixed.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just the returners. Like, I don't see a whole lot of room for anybody to run. There's really no – they had a field goal block. They had a terrible penalty on a field goal attempt. It's just been shaky. And
the muff
punt by Covey. I thought Michael Clay made a really good point. Something I really hadn't thought about, just how you got to be squared up and not try to catch it. When you catch it off to the side, that's when you get in trouble.
That was a tough one, though.
It was windy.
Yeah, and it was windy. It tailed. It was coming off a left foot.
Sure. No, I totally get that, but still, you can't. That's where, look, if you're Britton Covey, and he prides himself on always making the right decision.
Ole, let it go.
Let it go. If it bounces down to the 1, so be it. That's better than the other team getting it at the 8. So. Yeah. He's got to make a better decision there. If you're not confident you can get into position and catch it cleanly, don't try to catch it.
Yeah. What do you think's going to happen? You think Covey they still have a roster spot? He's been elevated the maximum 3 times.
Right.
It kind of feels like this was a tryout in a lot of ways. Do you think he did enough to make the team?
I think so, because I don't know what options there really are.
That's the thing. Who else is going to do it?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to use a starter.
Not consistently.
Yeah. So
we saw that Devontae Smith return, and Michael Clay was asked about it and said, well,
here and there.
Which, look, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you need
wouldn't get in the habit of using him.
Yeah. So I don't really know what options they have. They got a roster spot. It seems like they'll sign him. I don't know how long the leash is, but I would give him a few more games.
I would too. I think he'll be okay. I think there is an adjustment period, even for a 25-year-old rookie with a ton of college experience. It's a little different. And I talked to him about that a week ago. It's just, he can't dance. You got to be really decisive at this level. Yeah,
I know he was marveling just at how quick the game is on this level, and it just takes some getting used to. Whether you're Jordan Davis playing D tackle or a guy 1/3 his size returning punts, it's a whole different animal on this level, and got to get used to it. But look, there's no time for that, and they got to find a way to get better field position, because they actually lead the league in 80-yard drives. They got 5 80-yard touchdown drives, which is great for the offense, but you'd like to get it at the 41 or the 38.
That's not how you draw it up.
Yeah, so. I mean, because imagine this offense if they had good field position.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you stop this offense? You can't stop them going 80 yards.
You can't have as many explosive plays. You don't have the room.
That's the other. Boy, they showed a stat at the end of we're getting way off the rails here, but the end of the Giants-Cowboys game, and the Giants only have 1 completed pass of 25 yards or more this year.
Is that right?
1 25-yard completion.
If only they signed a receiver for $72 million.
Yeah. I mean, the Eagles have 8 of 25 yards or more. And
Jones has a decent enough arm. It's not like
he has a strong arm. Yeah.
Strong, yeah.
And I mean, I don't think he's very accurate, but also you would think a guy who stands back there waiting would get a couple bigger plays, because he's giving these guys plenty of.
They're all running back.
Yeah, but yeah, that was.
I had a fun fan question a while back.
If you didn't, I was going to say, if you watch that game and don't think the Eagles are the favorites in the division, I don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah. I had a fun. This is off topic too.
Yeah.
So we're all doing it.
Yeah.
And I kind of forgot about it until you just mentioned how big Jordan Davis is. The Eagles drafted one player in 2021 and then drafted a player in the first round the next year that was double his size, weight-wise. Think that's ever happened before?
Oh, so somebody tweeted that to me.
Yeah.
I actually looked it up.
Has it ever happened?
It was close, but it's never happened.
Huh.
Yeah.
Because Devontae was listed at 170?
170, yeah.
Jordan, 340?
I think somebody tweeted that to me during the draft.
Okay.
After and I spent like way too long, like 2 hours going through. But yeah, there have been some times where it's been close. It was like Mark McMillan. What year was Mark McMillan drafted? Like 90. I don't know. Nobody wants to.
It doesn't matter.
No, it really doesn't. 92. He was 154.
Jesus.
He was 154. Man, had a great year in 97, 8 interceptions.
He was 154?
Yeah, he's listed at 150. He was tiny. He was 5'6", 154. That was the 92 draft. So let's see who they drafted in 93. Lester Holmes, he had to be Yeah, he had to be twice that. And Leonard Renfro as well. Lester Holmes is listed as 315. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And Renfro had to be over 300. He was 300. So there you go. There's your answer.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a good question though.
Doug's coming back.
Doug Pederson. Yeah. And anybody who boos him.
No one's going to boo him, right?
I hope not. No, I don't think so.
Why would you boo him?
Because
what would you possibly have to
people start drinking at 6 a.m?
That's true.
Yeah, I mean he'll get a really nice ovation. It'll be great.
Think they'll do something for him, like some kind of?
I would think so.
They should.
Yeah, their video department
before the game
does some pretty good stuff. Yeah, before the game. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe during the game they'll show like a video of him in 2020. Just like, but yeah, I think.
Tell you what, though, he's already turned that franchise around.
Yeah, he really
didn't take very long.
Yeah, this is what he's good at. It's just like kind of. I mean, you think about the chaos that he inherited in 16 from Chip's last year.
And at least Chip got on the team plane.
That's true. That's true. But like in both cases, like kind of cleaning up the mess that a big time college coach left. And I think he's really good at kind of taking chaos and creating order and getting guys to believe, giving guys hope. We talk about culture all the time. He's good at that stuff. And also working with a young quarterback who, gosh, Trevor Lawrence looks like a completely different guy this year.
Doug's his life raft.
Really is. So they go out to almost at San Diego. They go out to California and have a really nice road win. Their defenses, I mean, they've only allowed 5 touchdowns in 3 games. Giving up
so they lose to the Commanders in week 1, 28-22. Shut out Indy the next week, 24-0. Last week, 38-10 over the Chargers. This is a good team. This is like if you're waking up and thinking this is a roll out of bed, beat the punching bag Jaguars. Nope.
Yeah, this is. I'm going to pick the Eagles, and I think they're going to win. But I give Doug so much credit for how quickly he's been. I mean, he did the same thing here. I mean, that team was out.
They were 3-0.
They're 3-0, and certainly were a much more respectable team in 16 than 15. You could see they were going in the right direction. Maybe he's going to do it quicker down there, but he's a really good coach. I think it had run its course here for reasons that we've gone into ad nauseum to quote Jonathan Gannon today. But I wish him well down there. I think he's going to have that thing turned around very soon.
They could win that division. That division stinks.
Yeah. Might be the favorites right now.
You think the NFC East is bad? Look at that AFC South.
They're both terrible. This could be a Super Bowl matchup right here.
I don't think that's
Doug wins another Super Bowl against the Eagles.
Yeah, I don't like your chances there. We'll get into this matchup on Thursday's pod a little bit deeper. But
would you sign if you're an Eagles fan? Would you sign up for that right now?
What?
Losing in the Super Bowl to Doug? Never mind.
That's an interesting question. Probably not.
Probably not, right?
If you're good enough to get there, you might as well roll the dice.
Yeah.
I guess that's not part of your deal with the devil here, but
right. Well, all I know is if it's an Eagles-Dolphins Super Bowl, then we'll all be talking about joint practices and how valuable they are. I got to look up one thing. Like I think the Dolphins play Thursday. Is that right?
No.
Do they play Thursday? You can look that up because let me see. Week 4.
Am I looking it up?
I'll look it up. Dolphins at Bengals. If the Bengals win that game, the Eagles are the only. When was the last time the Eagles were the only undefeated team? It wasn't
another question you don't know the answer to.
No, I'll have it next week. No, somebody just tweeted that to me just before we started. It was probably at 04. They won a bunch. They didn't lose for a while. They lost to Pittsburgh like week 6 or 7. But 17 they lost week 2.
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs. I'll look that up. We'll do a special podcast.
It'll just be you looking things up.
Just me looking up stuff.
Like all the things that you've asked me about throughout like a month of podcasting.
Exactly.
Like I have the answers. All right. We good?
What up? We're good.
If you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button. and subscribe there as well. We appreciate all the reviews, even of the ones that are not for this podcast. For Reuben, Frank, I'm Dave Zangaro. This has been Eagle Eye presented by Nissan. We'll talk to you later.